If I can figure this unmute thing out. Hey, Gerad. Running for 329 yards in a game is pretty cool, but obviously a stiffer test for you this week. Are you looking at this one more as an onus on rushing yards per attempt as opposed to total yards? Because I got to think if you can average 4 or 5 a carry, kind of keep the chains moving, control the clock, that keeps their weapons off the field too. How important is that to you guys this week?
Yeah, I think everybody's aware of the talent they have on offense. The entire country would respect that, not only this year, but in their past history. So you have to consider all that. I think more than anything, we as a staff have all kind of really made a conscious effort to make sure that we run the football better each and every week. I'm not big. I think it gets really scary as an offensive coach, and I know it's a lot of it. Kind of the world we live in is driven by numbers and some egos in that. I try to keep a pretty big blind eye to everything going on as far as numbers. The production kind of take care of itself if we lie in the truth of it and the work. So it really, and it's not a cliche statement. I think the biggest thing is we know we got to run the football. It's going to make the game easier for us to call it in our offense to be successful on Saturday, but also, of course, an indirect effect would be to give them a limited amount of minutes to be able to pile up yards on their side.
So, Coach, in terms of Jarrett Daggy, since you got here last winter, last spring, what have you determined he does well? What did you guys ask him to try to improve on the off season, and your just overall thoughts of him now that you've got a game under his belt with him?
Yeah, so we have everyone has a strong opinion of him. There's a lot of truth that comes through him and his work ethic. He has grinded. We had a pretty fortunate way to get to know each other more because he was a part of my accountability team and the leader of the team. So when we were going through the pandemic together and doing a lot of time of almost 4 months virtually, we had a lot of conversations about how we're going to lead our team better and accountability teams and those things. So it allowed us to have a lot of leadership discussions. He's a great leader. He's well respected. He puts in the work. Him and his dad really got at it through the pandemic that allowed him to get things better with his feet. Him and Coach Reagan have done a great job in approaching his feet and staying balanced through throws. And then I think the biggest thing is anytime you get a guy that's taken now the reps he got last year and into this year as he moves forward, we think he does a really good job of staying poised. He doesn't really get too high or too low and stay emotional, and you really need that out of the quarterback position. And then where he's really taken a step, even in the last 2 weeks, is his ability to lead and push guys the right way, knowing when to push buttons and when not to, and how to communicate and doing that the right way. And he's really gotten better with leadership and delivery, and I think that's the things that kind of make you take the next step, if you will, playing the position he does.
You mentioned numbers, so I'm going to throw one at you here. I'm sure you're paid attention to, and that's Tulsa was 0 for 12 on third down against that defense. Gerad had mentioned that he thought one-on-one matchups were going to be important, but I'm guessing that what you do on first and second down is going to also dictate third down a little bit with these guys.
Amen. Yeah, I didn't say we ignored the numbers. There's no doubt there's some, they matter. Nobody would say they don't. They matter, but you try not to dive in them so much to where you feel great about yourself on 1 week and then you just don't feel so great the next. You got to let them be noticed but not control your emotions. So their third down numbers are great, and a lot of people, Coach Knowles, the defensive coordinator there, is a guy I had an opportunity to be on the same staff with at Duke for a year. So I know his personality well, and they're an aggressive. That's his personality. I mean, who they are on film right now is exactly who Jim Knowles is. Gritty, tough. They're going to be tough and grab and hold and get after you and make it a physical game in the back end and allow you to make it hard on you to separate on third down, especially when they play a lot of man coverages and those things. So it's something that's there, and certainly it falls on us to be able to create separations and win some of those battles in order for us to get a better percentage on third down.
Real quick, what in that secondary really strikes you? Neil mentioned he thought there were some NFL caliber guys back there. What jumps out at you?
Yeah, probably three things in a hurry would be that, number one, their length at corner. Two vet guys that control how they fit the run with the two safeties. They fit the run very well, play downhill and diagnose in a hurry. So I just think the way they fit their runs through their safeties and diagnose in a hurry, and the length that they have at corner to create problems, and you being able to separate are the things that stick out pretty quickly.
Back to you, Ryan.
You mentioned that man-to-man coverage and how good they are in the secondary. You know, I know you and Neil both are real high on this group of receivers you've got. Obviously, a lot of them are young, and you get a couple of them back that you didn't have the last game. But, you know, how important is it for them to find a way to win some of these one-on-one battles that maybe Tulsa wasn't able to win last week? And how confident are you in your guys to be able to do that when you need to, especially on third down?
Yeah, sure. It's a good question. It's it'll be, you know, it's critical. You know, we've told guys everywhere we've been the ability to win the junction point and win against man coverage is one of the biggest things we're judged on. Being a wide receivers coach and on offense, and you can tell they coach the same thing in the inverse way at DB. So that matchup and the junction point in those moments is critical. Of course, we feel like our guys have come a long way and are really growing in our ability to do those things, and it's a huge test for our guys in week 2 of a season. So it'll be, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see the battle go on. That's the fun part of the junction point and the fun part of being able to play this game. Those will be great matchups, and it'll be interesting to see how those go throughout the game. It'll really tell the tale.
Next question is from Kevin Kinder.
Did you have a game plan, you know, set Friday morning for this game? And I hope it doesn't happen or never happens. But, you know, at some point, you know, teams have been felled by losses of a lot of people. What kind of plan, you know, do you have? Do you have a backup plan already in place if, you know, hey, we lose these guys, this group, whatever? How much time is available to adjust realistically for you?
Sure, it's a good question. It's our reality. It's everybody across the country's reality. I think that, you know, on Coach Brown's side of it, he's been forced to have depth charts and things ready for even us as coaches. And then us as an offensive staff, you certainly have had conversations about what we would do and contingency plans for what would happen if we got some bad news. I don't think anyone would really be surprised or shocked by any of that stuff happening. So we put it in place to where we've got a really good feel for what we would do if things were to happen. And then the other thing is the prevention of it all, which I think Coach Brown has been great at, is to say, hey, if this does happen, here's how we're going to do it, but let's prevent a lot of this. You know, we've done every protocol we can through our medical staff and through our team all across our program in avoiding as much contact tracing as we can, remaining 6 feet, keeping mask on, all those things that have allowed us to so far keep ourselves out of harm's way, and our guys are going to have to make a continued effort because it can flip in a hurry.
Back to you, Greg.
So Jared, I asked Jarrett about explosive plays as well, and obviously everybody wants them. But is that something you can manufacture, or does that just come organically?
Yeah, I think, you know, anything that you want in this life, and especially in football, we tell the guys all the time, nothing really happens by accident. It's kind of the self-fulfilling prophecy in my mind. You know, I think, therefore I am. So if we want to be good at explosives, it better be a conscious effort made every day to be good at them. So I would think that in your question, I would say absolutely that this matters, and we've got to win the explosive play battle. It's probably one of the number one precursors to looking at success, minus, of course, turnovers is always the leading one. I think if we're explosive and at a high level on any Saturday and then take care of the football, we're going to have a really good chance of feeling good about where we're at offensively. So I think it's a directed effort for sure.
Go ahead, Mike.
Jared, getting your 2 tight ends back, you kind of made do last week with Charlie and Jackson, but Mike and TJ, no offense to those 2 guys, Mike and TJ are just different and probably enable you to do some stuff that helps your run game, that helps your play action. I'm sure it's not a secret, but how much, I don't know, different, more effective, better could you be at full strength there?
Yeah, it's a good call. I think not to give too much away, but certainly you feel better about those guys being able to maybe do a few more things, which allow you to be a little bit more creative, and certainly being respectful to what those 2 guys did last week and stepping up and filling in. Certainly proud of their effort and what they did. And then we'll continue to grow that and continue to feel good about who we are at that tight end position. And Coach Trickett's done a heck of a job bringing those guys along. So we're going to really start to push those guys as this entire staff tries to find ways to run the football better, mess with guys' fits, and help us in pushing the football down the field as well.
Back to you, John.
Curious, I was listening to Gundy's talk yesterday, and he literally mentioned just about every guy on defense that played well against Tulsa. What's your thoughts on their front? They have some size. Are you interested to see how your guys are able to move them? What do they do up there that presents challenges?
Yeah, you know, they did a great job on defense and had a heck of a game last week. We got a great deal of respect for their front, the amount of movement they create and issues they create by angle and slants and stuff up front to mess with your fits. So it is a respect for personnel and for scheme, you know, which makes it a tough deal. I mean, it really is. There's a respect for both. They do a good job changing fits up on you and creating movement that allows them to penetrate gaps, which also messes with, you know, tackles for loss and sacks and things you want to prevent on offense. You know, our ability to decrease the amount of negative plays that we had a year ago has been a big conversation for us in the offensive room, and I think it's going to be a telltale Saturday. We've got to reduce, you know, negative plays.
Go ahead, Darren.
Coach, is it going to be strange playing in front of fans? I mean, I'm not sure if that's something you guys are looking forward to, but it's different and it's rare nowadays.
It sure is. I think our guys will be charged to kind of see some people up in the stands and play in front of. You actually have a discussion about noise up there with the side of the stadium, the things they create. I've never had the opportunity to get to go up there and play. So it's going to be good for our guys to get out there and get in front of some energy. So we haven't spent a whole lot of time on it, and I know it'll still be a reduced crowd, but at the same time, it'll be good to see some people up there.